Okay, we will start the session. Hello everyone. Good evening from India. I am Shikha Singh, volunteering as Vice President Professional Development at PMI Mumbai chapter. I hold a BE in Production Engineering from Mumbai University, Green Belt in Lean Six Sigma, and PMP certified from PMI. Professionally, I am working at LRQA Inspection Services India LLP at Mumbai and having over 18 plus years of experience in operations of inspection services and right now handling global projects. So I welcome everyone for today's PM Pit Stop session. So before starting the session, I will like to play a small video introduction of our upcoming PM Conclave Manthan scheduled to happen on 21st February 2026, which is our Silver Jubilee edition. So please have a look to this and register as soon as possible. Thank you. Sunil, can you play that video, please? Wow, what a video. Yes, Sunil, voice and audio, video and audio, everything was okay. So that's it, and we will move on for the session. Um, Today's registrations are 295. And PM PitStop, as you know, provides a platform where subject matter experts and project managers from many industries share their experiences and demonstrate the usage of various tools and techniques in the real world. So today's topic is Kanban in action, visualizing work, limiting WIP and driving flow, practical insights and ready to use templates. And guess who is the speaker? This is Miss Priyanka Shah, one of my buddy when I first went to Bali, Indonesia for my first limb and as a first ever visit to outside India. So thank you Priyanka for accompanying me and giving me a good company for the beaches and everything. So she's as a agile transformation coach, senior AI ambassador and marketing leader. Priyanka Shah is an agile transformation coach and senior AI ambassador at HSBC with 20 plus years of experience driving leadership and operational excellence in the IT industry. She had led large scale agile and AI enablement programs, coached global teams, and delivered high impact learning experiences across industries. Priyanka is PMP certified and holds multiple agile certifications across Scrum Alliance, Scrum.org, SAFe, IC Agile, and IBQMI certified Kanban coach. She is also a certified Great Place to Work people manager and a global speaker at conferences across APAC, Europe, and India. Passionate about simplifying agility, Priyanka makes complex concepts practical, actionable, and engaging. Giving back to the community is her passion. She volunteers at PMI and currently serves on the board of directors for the PMI Pune Deccan India chapter as marketing and communications VP. Specializes in blending agile frameworks with modern innovation to build high performing resilient teams. Known for her high energy practical teaching style, Priyanka doesn't just teach agile, she helps team live it. As a I am remarkable gold facilitator and senior AI ambassador. She is passionate about empowering professionals to future-proof their careers and master their workflows. Her LinkedIn profile will be shared in the chat box. Please connect with her and please post questions in the chat box and same will be answered at the end of the session by the speaker. And remember, recording of this session will be posted on our YouTube channel, PMI Mumbai chapter, in a couple of days. So I request Priyanka to start her session, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Shikha, for wonderful introduction. And good evening, everybody. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. And as she had already introduced me, you might have guessed that I have had opportunity to work with multiple teams, like across various domains. I have coached Scrum teams, I have coached Kanban teams, and even hybrid setups as well. One thing that has always remained constant and that I have observed is teams want to deliver faster. They want to deliver value as soon as possible, but with less chaos and with obviously more clarity. And that's where Kanban comes into picture. In today's workshop, Kanban in action, which is designed to be practical, hands-on and experience-based. Rather than just talking theory, we are going to explore Kanban the way it is and it means to be understood through the flows, visuals, and conversations and real work examples. And what you are going to learn today is how to visualize work so nothing slips through the cracks, how to limit work in progress so the team actually finishes things, and how to manage the workflow and make work more smooth. Today, I am also going to provide you some handouts at the end of the session, which will be you're ready to use templates that you can start working on Kanban starting tomorrow itself. The session, as Shikha mentioned, is interactive. You can post your questions in the chat, and I also encourage you to share your experiences in the chat if you have any. And if you are already working on Kanban, please share whatever your challenges are and everything so far. As I said, you will get all those ready to use templates, worksheets, and all the tools later in the session. So let's get started. And today, as I said, it's not only theory. Let's get our hands dirty. Okay, so today you are going to work out with all those templates. Let me talk you through the agenda. I hope my screen is visible. Shikha, can you confirm, please?
Yes, yes. We can see on the first page with the QR code.
Oh, thank you. All right. So let me quickly walk you through the agenda as you know what exactly we are going to cover. So first of all, why Kanban? Basically, we will be covering some Kanban fundamentals if this is first time that you would be using it. So that's one thing. We will start with why Kanban and why not something else? What problems does it solve? We will look Kanban as a mindset, like its values and everything, right from this history, everything. It's not only the sticky notes or just no digital board, and we will exactly understand the principles behind it. Then we are going to look at the core practices that we have. I'll also talk you through the principles under behind it. And then we are going to see the visualizing work. Here we will spend some time similarly because that's where you would want to make sure when you start that's where you would want to spend more time, how to design a meaningful board, what to include, what to not, what to avoid, how visualization improves your clarity and alignments. So that is something that we are going to discuss. Then WIP limits, again here we are going to talk about WIP is work in progress, in case you didn't got that. So why they matter, how to set them, why to limit them first of all, and how they directly impact flow, speed, and predictability. Then we are going to look at flows and matrices. This is the heart of Kanban. We are going to explore flow bottlenecks and key flow matrices like cycle time, lead time, throughput, WIP, flow efficiency, and how to read a CFD diagram, and to understand system health. And at the end, as I said, I'll share practical templates, worksheets, sample boards, and downloadable resources that you can take back and use immediately with your teams. And in the end, we will close with a Q&A. So feel free to bring in your real world scenarios or challenges that you would like clarity on. Overall, the goal is to keep the session practical, interactive, directly applicable to your work. And I hope that after this session tonight, you will be able to know how to say no to your boss using a Kanban board. So let's get started. All right. So just look at this comic strip. I'm sure many of you have lived inside this comic strip. It captures the perfect storm of a team that lacks visibility. We see on the left, there is somebody who is blocked, like effectively stopped dead. The person is stuck. In the middle, we see somebody who is drowning in work, maybe like multitasking, stressed, too busy. And on the right, we have somebody who is waiting for work and feeling guilty about being idle. Without a system like Kanban, these people exist in silos. They don't see the whole picture. The goal of this session is to move us away from this chaotic state where busy is only metric and towards system where we help each other and get things to done. So let's dive in. But before we do that, let's revisit some of our beliefs. Sunilji, I'll need your help here. Can you please launch the first poll about the belief? It should be the idle. The first question, idle. So we are going to launch one. Yes, we have launched one quiz question for you, and I would like to know your beliefs. What do you think idle people are? Are they like absolutely to be avoided? Are they undesirable at best? Are they like neither good nor bad? Are they like possibly a good thing or probably a good thing? You'll get 5 seconds. Okay. Sunil, did we get like enough participation? If yes, we can launch the other question, multitasking. Can we end this question, this poll, Sunil? Okay. If you want, you can share the results. All right. Let's see. So 11% of people has said absolutely to be avoided, and 37 people were like, no, like average, neither good nor bad. And only 16% of people had said probably a good thing. Okay, let's see. Uh, Again, there is another question coming on to your screen. It should be around multitasking. Let's see, what our beliefs are for multitasking. Sunil, second question, please. Multitasking. So for the first question, people were like, no, kind of like we didn't get any clear winner or so. Let's see what happens here. The second question on your screen is multitasking. What is multitasking? Is it a desirable attribute of highly productive people? Is it expected but rarely seen? Is it a good trick if you can manage it? Is it likely to cause problems? Or is it absolutely to be avoided? 3 more seconds. Please respond fast. Okay, we can close Sunil if we have got like enough participation. Can share the results. Okay, again, so 22% has said a desirable attribute of highly productive people. 4% said it is expected but rarely seen. And 32%, like here is kind of tie. They said a good trick if you can manage it. And 32% people said likely to cause problems. And yet 10% said it's absolutely to be avoided. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead for the third question. Okay, the third question should be more work, Sunil. 5 seconds. Please respond fast. It's taking on more work. Is it always the best practice? Is it a good trick? Again, if you can manage it. Is it probably okay? Or is it like well intentioned but possibly meaningless? Or is it possibly dangerous and unhelpful? Okay. If we have got enough participation, maybe we can close the poll. And if you have maybe like no something else in your mind, you can of course mention that in the chat. We can close the poll. Thank you. Would you like to share it? Okay. This time we have got 32% saying a good trick if you can manage, but 28% people had said possibly dangerous and unhelpful. Okay, good. And 13% said always the best practice. So let's see what I think, as in, like, what our scientists think. So idle people are probably a good thing, maybe. Okay. And multitasking is absolutely to be avoided. And the third one is taking on more work is possibly dangerous and unhelpful. For the last one, I guess, like, no, we have got the same results that I have been sharing on the screen on my slides. But then for first and second was something different. Okay, there was kind of tie also. And if we don't want to go ahead with these options, I have something else as well. And what that is. So if there is another option for idle people, maybe idle people are absolutely essential for optimal efficiency. Okay. And multitasking is the largest contributor to inefficiency in modern workplaces. In fact, if we talk about multitasking, our neuroscientists they have proved that our mind, our brain cannot multitask. Technically not possible to multitask. There is always context switching, and the cost of context switching is so high that you are actually wasting your resources, like resources, brain resources, and so. And the third one, for taking on more work, is almost always utter waste. So basically these questions, this quiz helps surface our hidden beliefs that shape how we work. Kanban challenges busyness and multitasking, which are two biggest myths. Now, coming back to our fundamentals. All right, let's go into some history. I'm sharing one picture on your screen and I have a question. Please share in the chat. Where are we? What do you think this photo is of? Like where it is from? Okay, assembly line, Japan. All right. Okay, so I think Bhushan has got it right. That's correct, Bhushan. Thank you so much. So, yes, assembly line is correct. And yes, it is Japan. So, anybody who knows Japanese, can you read what are these words? Okay, anybody? What are these words? Nobody. Okay, nobody from Japanese like knows Japanese. All right, very
Nikesh,
simple.
Nikesh and Preeti can say that it is Kanban.
I think Preeti said Kaizen. Okay, so
Okay,
Kaizen,
sorry.
this is not Kaizen. Kaizen is different. Okay. So maybe like no, when we go to Kaizen slide, I won't ask that question, Preeti. You already know Japanese. Okay, so maybe like no, I'll just go. Come on. This is Kanban. The first word is kan and second one is ban. Okay. So in Japanese, kan is visual and ban is signal. Okay. So Kanban in Japanese meaning visual signal. Okay. So what is this assembly line and Toyota and all those stuff? So yes, that's correct. This is assembly line, Toyota production system. So this everything like no, it was developed by Mr. Taichi Ohono. Okay. So he was renowned Japanese businessman who started working for Toyota Automatic Loom Works owned by Toyota family. After World War II, he actually shifted and he became this production engineer at this Toyota Automobile Company. At this point in time, Toyota's level of production was far behind than the US. Like, no, there were competitors like Detroit and so. So US car factories they kept line running at full tilt to maximum capacity and they repaired defective cars after they rolled off the line. On the Toyota production line, a cord was pulled if they spotted any defect, the end-on cord. In fact, if you see on the top left, you would be able to find that cord that's in the picture. Okay, a small wire kind of thing. This line was stopped to fix the issue. Now, Mr. Ohno, he theorized that like no waste and inefficiencies, they were the major reasons why they were far behind the US companies. So obviously he made it his mission to eliminate these in the areas of production that like no he was responsible for. He was like heading this department and the concept they formed the Toyota production system which was known as like no TPS. These were the parts of this which have been since used till date. Kanban, they used this Kanban to achieve just in time manufacturing. He took this basic idea from like supermarket. So in supermarket, visual signals like an empty pantry or maybe supermarket shelf prompt people to like pull from preceding processes. So thinking of it in the same way, he did like this system. So production processes, he asked them to use like pull systems to produce and move parts within the assembly line. They adapted this supermarket culture, the stock concept to help line workers to like recognize when and what amount of certain parts were needed. And whoever was in charge of making these parts ready, they would like supply the parts to the next process when they needed it, and only for the amount which was needed. This was like very easy to communicate as well within the shop floor. They used visual signals in the form of cards, okay, to signal their need for a component, and hence, like no, this Kanban came into the picture. So that was the history of Kanban. If we see now, why Kanban? Kanban is not at all about doing more. It is about reducing friction so that like no work flows smoothly. The simplest answer to why Kanban would be like, no, humans are terrible at multitasking. As I said, neuroscientist has already proven that we cannot. But we still try to do that anyway. So I am doing this, but maybe in the back of my head, I am thinking what to do tomorrow, what I cook. Okay. But again, this is context switching. So Kanban protects us from doing that. It gives us three superpower, like you can see on the screen. So maybe we talk about visibility, we talk about transparency. So we immediately see where the bottlenecks are, like the stuck person in our like no comic strip. And predictability, when we stop droning into half finished work, our flow stabilizes and we can actually predict when things will get done. Kanban changes the question from how much we can cram in to how fast can we flow through. And obviously, focus. By limiting work in progress, we stop context switching. We finish one thing before we actually start the next. So, looking at the chaos in the previous slide, why do we choose Kanban as the solution? The biggest reason is Kanban is evolutionary. It is not revolutionary. In fact, you can start Kanban today as it is. Like start wherever you are. In fact, it is one of the principle it has. Unlike like other agile frameworks where like no they demand generally various job roles, job titles, and complete restructuring in your team, Kanban asks us to respect our current roles and processes initially, and you can just simply start. The second one is like visualize the invisible. It forces us to put everything on the board. You whatever you are working on, it should be there on the board. Obviously, we cannot manage if we cannot see it. And then the third one, stop starting things and start finishing. Instead of focused on being busy, Kanban focuses on getting work to the finish line. We choose Kanban because it helps us improve gradually without paralyzing the team with a massive reorganization. So that's why we would want to use Kanban. Remember, it's not only a board, it is system for managing entire flow. Leads predictability, predictability leads trust, and trust leads better delivery. So that's about why we would want to use Kanban. And before we actually proceed further, just a reminder of values of the Kanban. There are 9 values which underpin Kanban. Self-explanatory, if we can see the slide. So transparency, obviously, like sharing information openly, it improves the flow of value. The second one, balance. There would be different aspects, different viewpoints, different capabilities. They must be in balance. The third one is collaboration, like improving through collaboration is again like no at the heart of Kanban. Customer focus, so value received by customer is the focal point here. Flow, we see entire work as a flow of value. Leadership is needed at all the levels for value delivery and improvement. It's not only like no sitting at the top. So we need leadership at all the levels. And then understanding. Self knowledge is the starting point for improvement. In fact, that's the key. And then agreement. Explicit commitment to move together towards the goal. That's the agreement. And respect, as in like no in different agile frameworks, respect is valuing, understanding, and showing consideration for others. It is foundational value of the Kanban. So that is about the Kanban values. Now, a question to you. Can you think of any Kanban systems in the real world? Okay. So remember, Kanban exists everywhere, flow exists. So what could be the Kanban system in real world? Think of maybe like a workflow which is like end to end that delivers value to the customers one at a time and maybe like no in small batches. It might have multiple steps, start with a customer need and end with happy customer, and work flows through the system in a visible way so that we can see the progress being made. Okay, Swapnal said airport onboarding. Okay, thank you, Swapnal. Supply chain, Sharad. Yes. Okay, packaging line, vehicle service center. Oh my God, I'm getting good examples here. Okay, so basically we understand what Kanban is. Okay, that's great. Any sort of incidents. Okay, signboards on highway. Okay, signboards on highway. I didn't quite get that, but okay, interior fit out. All right. And this is, as I said, this is not just like today's thing. This Kanban, this was in the world so many years back. You can see again, this is a real photo. This is example of a Kanban system from like decades ago. If you see, that's a picture of a call center Thank you for calling. Your call is important to us. Your number, whatever, and you are in the queue. If you see the there are stages from one person to second, the third and fourth. Okay. So that's nothing but a flow that we can see. Then somebody in the chat has given this answer. That's correct. Coffee shop. In fact, if you know, Starbucks, they use Kanban system extensively, so extensively that whenever they have like this training for their like I think store manager level post, they actually include this into their like management academy, this training of Kanban. So that's another example of Kanban system in the real world. And okay. And I think, yes, Swapnal, right? I think Swapnal had mentioned this airport. Yes, airport onboarding. And there are like various stages that we go through. That's again another Kanban system in real world that we do. And obviously there are so many others as well, like MACD or wherever, right? And then there are digital boards you can see in the screenshot. And then there are like people who would just use a simple sticky note for maybe like doing their day-to-day work or like all those tasks. That is also nothing but a Kanban system in real world. All right, thank you. Now that we have understood the Kanban system, let's go into the detail of principles and practices. So before we go into practices, I'll just mention the principles here. So there are six principles, okay? Six principles and six practices, which are like primary aspects of how to apply Kanban. The principles, as I said, like very easy. Kanban's bilkul not non-prescriptive. This nature of being non-prescriptive, it makes it easy to overlay upon existing processes and workflows. It says start wherever you are. You can start right now. You can start today. Okay, you don't need to change anything. You don't need to like add multiple roles like developers and scrum masters or product owner. No, nothing like that. So whatever roles you have currently in your organization, you can start Kanban based on that. Second, Kanban encourages small changes, as sweeping changes generally result in maybe like increased resistance due to fear and uncertainty. So smaller changes is the second principle. Then third one is empower teams. So empower teams to optimize the system as and when needed. Create an environment where leaders emerge organically. Then fourth one is customer at like no center of everything. So think about the customer. Fifth one is we don't manage people, we manage the work. So don't manage the people, manage the work. And the sixth one is policy control service delivery. So whatever the rules that you have to have like no to move work items from one stage to another, those things. So those are the principles, okay? Not quite popular, so maybe you might not have heard about them, but that's the basic fundamental. And now coming to the practices. Kanban is built on again six core practices that are on the screen. So let's look at like how they change the behavior. The first one is visualize. We turn mental work into physical cards and we see them. We visualize them. Second one is limit WIP, work in progress. We stop starting and we start finishing. This reduces obviously the context switching between two tasks. The third one is manage flow. We monitor the system for bottlenecks. Wherever there are issues, we will look out for. Then we will want to make policies explicit. We agree on to the rules. What does done actually mean? Maybe what I think done might be different from what you think done is. When do we expedite a ticket? We write these rules down so that like no everybody plays by the same rules and there is no ambiguity. And then like no feedback loops. We have regular meetings like maybe daily stand up or retrospective to check if the system is working. Okay. So we retrospect on all those things and like no get that feedback looked in as our input and we adjust accordingly. And that's the last one, improve collaboratively. When we see a problem, we don't blame the person, we change the process together. Now, think of our team like a highway. If highway is 100% utilized, meaning maybe like no bumper to bumper cars, recently that happened, right? How fast is the traffic moving? Zero kilometers per hour, right? So to get maybe faster flow, you actually need some empty space on the road. And that is like no main reason we would want to limit WIP. Now these six practices when performed and optimized, they will enable us like continuously improve speed to delivery. This takes time to perfect. So like no to start with the use of start wherever you are today method and build your backlog with current work, whatever you have in queue. And then like no you can start improving based on that. So those are about the Kanban practices. Let's dive in. The first one is visualizing work. Why visualization matters? Anybody in the chat? Why do you think? What's the benefit? Why we should visualize work? Yes, clarity is required. Current state, okay. To see progress, yes. I have been talking about it, okay. So you were listening. Thank you. Missing items, uh, okay. Perfect. Easy to recollect, okay. Okay, Ravindra says to know the current status. All right, thank you. Yes. So, as somebody mentioned, right, clarity. So, visualization creates shared reality. This is reality, shared reality. Without it, your flow is invisible and you cannot improve what you cannot see. I have been like, no, talking about this. So, data, it gives us like insight. Insight, using insights, we can take like, informed decisions. So, we cannot manage, as I have been talking about what we cannot see. So by mapping our processes on a board, whatever work we are doing on a board, from maybe to do to done, we instantly see where the work is and more importantly, where it is getting stuck. Okay. So that is the visualizing work. Now, by creating this visual model of work and workflow, which in our language, a Kanban board is the flow of work can be observed moving through the Kanban system, making the work visible along with its blockers, bottlenecks, and queues instantly leads to increased communication and collaboration. Okay, so as you can see, it could be like no columns. So here is a picture. This is the simplest one: to do, doing, done. That's it. Okay, the columns could be whatever stages that your work item is going through. In fact, in the handouts that I'm sharing at the end, I have given you the sample columns as well. So you can like, no, based on that, you can get your own board. Could be to do in progress, in review if you would want to do that. If you are doing testing differently, UAT differently, you would add all those things as well. You would want maybe like, no, if something is going for, say, legal approval, you can add that as well. And then obviously last the done. Okay, there could be different design elements as well that you could add, which would be part of a board. Could be swim lanes, could be classes of service, like no is it a standard, is it a maybe like no urgent important, something like those things. I will go into that maybe little bit later. So basically Kanban is not a board, it is a system for managing flow, and this board gives us like no the visualization. Okay, this is Kanban board. Moving on to the next one. This is just an example of a board. Okay, as you can see here, there is next priority is one of the status, one of the column. You can see then there is in design, then there is in build, then there is in test, and then ready for release and done. Okay. And there is one column expedite. Whenever there is any item which is in this status, it can come in anytime. Obviously, right? If something broke the production, then it has to come. Okay. Let's move on to, we are going into simulation as well later. So this is just a screenshot from that. And yes, the next one, again, important, WIP limit. Okay. So work in progress. What are, why we would want to limit work in progress? First of all, this is very, very important part. And this is the hardest for most of the teams because they would see like, for us, our manager, our leaders, they come in and they said, okay, everything is priority. So we don't understand where do we stop. Actually, what happens in real world, in maybe no day-to-day project work, if you see where when everything is priority, nothing flows. So WIP limits they come into picture. These are, as I said earlier as well, they are heart of Kanban. We cap the number of items allowed in maybe no in a single column. It feels maybe counterintuitive to say no to new work, but this forces us to focus on whatever we have been doing to finish that first. In fact, no juggling between t- 10 different tasks, it is always more time consuming. So WIP limit they prevents multitasking, reduce context switching, and helps team focus and finish faster. Okay, so that is maybe no secret, you would say. And why these matter so, and why we should be limiting WIP. So there are various reasons. It is a single biggest things that teams can do to affect the value delivered. It changes focus from being busy to finishing things, as I have been mentioning this again and again. Flow, no, the sense of progress is greater when we see things moving across the boards. Otherwise, no, 10 days it is still in progress, 15 days still in progress, nothing is moving on the board. That's not a good thing. Unfinished work generates no money for business, obviously, right? The more common alternative to limiting WIP is to maybe no increase resources to try increase the throughput. Because no, some of the project managers, the more people will get more things done. Right. So unless resources are increased at the bottleneck, this simply adds cost without increasing throughput. Remember the example where you are going to car service center. Somebody has given this example in the chat earlier, and you are adding maybe no people who would dry the car, but there is single hose pipe, okay, single water source. So obviously that's not going to work because the bottleneck here is that water source. So maybe no, if we talk about a data center, for example, data center won't get built faster by adding more maybe Unix system admins if the problem is there only one electrician to provide power to the new racks. Okay, so bottleneck, that's important. So that is so those are the reasons why we should be limiting WIP. Get this clear. I was talking about after today's session, you would be able to say no to your boss, to new work. This is your key. You should understand why you should limit WIP based on no the work you are already doing, which is already in progress. Okay. So that is why and how to set the right WIP limits. Again, there are various things that you would want to do here. The first stage would be map your workflow. Okay, and don't worry about this. I am sharing one WIP calculator as well in the resources later. So first thing you will think about your workflow, how your work items are flowing. So map your workflow. You can start with initial limits, okay, and maybe there will be question what are initial limits because we have maybe never worked on Kanban. So we have never set the limit. So that's okay. What we can do is maybe let's go step by step. So map your workflow. We can start with the simplest one, as I said, to do, doing, done, right? Or if you would want to do in progress, testing, done. Okay. Then maybe you're doing it for the first time. So your limit could be, I'll give you a recommended thing. Whatever your number of your team members, right? Number of people working on that particular stage. Okay. You can start with that. You can just add one, plus one or minus one based on like, no, uh, the type of work you are doing and generally whatever takes it. Or the, if you would want a, you have a very good culture, you can do the simplest method would be like, no, just ask the team how how many tickets they can reasonably handle at once. Okay, you can start with that. Okay, once you can start with that and maybe like, no, come back, revisit it later, maybe after a period of month or so, and then see how it is going, and then you can adjust it. There is a formula as well where like, no, you can do this team size, whatever team size, and into 1.5, or as I said, maybe with current number of people. So that would be your initial limit. Then you are going to visualize the limit. And when I am saying visualize limit is whatever template you choose, whatever tool you choose, explicitly mark the maximum number items allowed in each column. Okay, so maybe to do no more than 5 or no more than 7. Okay, in progress no more than 3, because maybe there are only 3 people working on that particular thing. And if maybe you're using a physical board, you would simply write the number near the column heading. Okay, so that's where you would write that. So visualize the limit and then observe and adjust. Now monitor your flow of work. Bottlenecks will be visible. Obviously, like, no, you will be visually see them if a column is consistently getting stuck, right? Because there are items piled up and reaches its limit. So this is your bottleneck. It indicates areas where you need to adjust the limits or address the process inefficiencies. That's where you need to come back, adjust your processes, take your actions accordingly, and then obviously continuously improve. WIP limit needs regular review, as I said, maybe like, no, you can decide on to whatever frequency you would want to come back to accommodate changes in team size, process improvements, or changes in the work itself. Okay, so that is important. You would be getting this calculator, so you can like, no, play around with that Excel, and like you can see the right limit for your team. So that's setting the right WIP. A small mini simulation here. And just to let you know, the color coding is nothing but maybe like, no, just different type of items, I would say. So for example, green would be story, yellow would be like, no, uh, ideas, and then defect, gray would be defects or something like that. So it has nothing to do. So let's see. We have this Kanban board. We have seen the screenshot in earlier slides. Now, the second one we are putting here, the WIP limit. Okay. Limiting work in progress. It implies that full system is implemented on parts or maybe all of the workflow. In our case, we have given the limit on all the columns. So all of the workflow, right? The critical elements are like, no, work in progress at each state wherever workflow is limited, and the new work is pulled into the next step whenever there is available capacity within the local WIP limit. At this point, there is capacity in all of them. Okay. Now, if I go to maybe next one, we can see in test two have been moved from in build. Okay. And then because in build have got the capacity from in design, there would be like, no, mode 3. And then from next priority, maybe like, no, in design can pick maximum 3. Now, what has happened? Just look at this and give me your observation in the chat. What do you think? Where the problem is? First of all, is there any problem looking at this board? This maybe like, no, the rectangle that I have marked here. We have WIP limit of 3 each column that I have marked. Yes, equally distributed items. Yes, that's correct. But do you see, is there any problem here? If we would want to provide some help, where we should give? Not moving. Yes, no, yes, yes, that's not moving. Correct. And why not moving? Yes. Swapnal said that. Thank you, Swapnal. And nice name, by the way. So in test, okay, it's not moving. So we need to provide some help in this. Because if you see ready for release has like no six a WIP limit as six, but there were only two. There is capacity, but the things are not moving from in test to ready for release. We have seen that from in build to in test, there was a movement. From in design to in build, and in fact, from next priority to in design as well, there was movement. But nothing is moving from in test to ready for release. And we get to understand that when we have a board, we notice it like, no, we understand, and that's when we realize, okay, we need to do something about this. Then we can have like no those conversations and everything, like what is stuck, what is the bottleneck, and all the stuff. So this simulation basically shows how limiting WIP pools work from right. It is not pushing work from left, but like no from right. And this also shows the demand and supply. Okay, so that is about it. Yes, I think demand and supply, because I mentioned it. So, in order to maybe improve our system, we need to understand the relationship between demand and capacity. Okay, so could be low demand, high capacity, and high demand, low capacity, or could be like no balanced. Demand and capacity both are at the same level. Okay, so we need to look at that as well. In fact, can you think about any real world examples where like no there might be examples of say low demand and high capacity, or say high demand but low availability? Okay, let me use the word low availability. Any examples? Real estate. Yes. Okay. Indigo. Oh my god, I don't want to comment on to that. Vegetable markets. Okay. Okay. COVID-19. Okay, railways. Yeah, correct. Okay, perfect. COVID-19 was one. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So maybe as you have been given so many examples, that was one thing. And ideal world will be like, no, where your capacity and demand is balanced. Okay, that might not be the yes, Aditya. Thank you. So we would want to like, no, take a look at that as well. Flow is simply about being like, no, balancing everything, demand as well, capability as well. When they mismatch, Q grows like here it was growing. Okay, while talking about the flow, let's come to the next point, which is again manage flow. So once we can see the work, we have limited the chaos, we watch the flow. We look for the items that are aging or are blocked, and we swam to fix them. Okay. Our goal is not just to be like no busy, it is to move tickets to the right as smoothly as possible. So we are looking to become maybe like a smooth system, obviously the balance system that I have been talking. So what we can do, we can maybe focus on smooth, continuous work. It should be moving. Okay. So maybe movement of work, continuous movement of work. Flow is not equal to speed. It's about preventing stop and go delays. Then second one, we would want to focus about like no reducing waiting time, not the working time. Most delays, if you have noticed, they come from waiting, not doing. The actual work might be like no little bit, but then you just had to wait for something, and then that person had to wait for someone else and something like that. So we would want to make the invisible wait visible. Then third one would be identify and address bottlenecks as early as possible. Where work piles up, flow slows down, as we have seen in our earlier simulation. Swam to clear the jam. The fourth one, finish work before starting new work. Okay, so start finishing and stop starting. Keep WIP low, low, fast. Less work in progress will be like no fewer handoffs, obviously, and it would be less multitasking and more momentum. Then you can track flow matrices, cycle time, throughput. We will see them in a minute. And data reveals how work actually behaves, not how we think it behaves, right? And then visualize blockers clearly. Blocked work is number one flow killer. Okay, the car service center and then car wash, and there is only one water source like the hose pipe. Make it obvious and maybe like no act quickly. Use pull, not push. Work should be pulled when ready. It should not be pushed into system prematurely. And then maybe like no, we would want to optimize the system. We don't want to optimize individuals. Flow improves when the whole system it works together, not when individuals look busy. And then the last one, improve flow continuously. Small frequent changes are like no going to provide us predictable sustainable delivery. So remember that. So that is about the flow, and then we are going to see some of the flow matrices. Okay, let's see one by one. Any of these, have you been using any of these matrices? Please share in the chat. Flow efficiency, lead time, cycle time, throughput, WIP. Anybody? Lead time. Okay, Mohammed is using lead time. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? Okay, Ramya also says lead time. I think lead time, cycle time are like quite popular one. Yes, Nikunj also says the same cycle time, lead time. All right, let's see all of them. Okay, so let's start with the flow efficiency. So how much time? It's nothing but how much time we are waiting, how much time we are actually working versus how much time we are waiting. Okay, so nothing but like I would say very powerful thing, but often ignored, not very much popular, right? It shows the percentage of time work is actually being worked versus just waiting. Okay, so that's your flow efficiency. In fact, most of the teams have 5 to 15% of flow efficiency. Yes, in semiconductor industry. Thank you, Praveen, for sharing that. Meaning 85% of maybe time the person is sitting idle because work is like no not getting done because something because it is in waiting stage. And this is why improving flow is more important than improving individuals' productivity. Our job is to reduce waiting, not to force people to work faster. This leads dramatic improvement in lead time and predictability. Now, what is lead time? What is lead time? Yes, people, you are using lead time. So what's lead time? Anybody? Come on. Lead time, cycle time, very. Okay, turnaround time. Yes, Rohan mentions time. We are ahead of plan time. Okay, that says Dinesh. Work completed at a stipulated time. Okay, okay. Lead time and cycle time. Minimum time required. Okay. Let me give you like no the exact definition maybe. So lead time is nothing but how long does the customer wait. I am also going to give you like no kind of simulation. So this is very clear to you because this is really important. These matrices. When you start adopting Kanban, you would want to use these. So please pay attention. So lead time is nothing but how long does the customer wait? It is complete end to end time from the moment request is made until it is delivered. It involves everything. This is the metric your customers are going to care about. Okay? They won't listen कि हमको तो आज ही मिला. Requester, the customer has requested maybe 3 days back. Now somebody has not passed it on to your team. That's not customer's fault. Okay? So that's your lead time. This is the metric. which will help us answer how long will a new request take. Okay. Are we predictable? Again, this question will be answered by this metric. And is our system responsive or slow? Reducing lead time improves customer satisfaction and trust. Okay. So if you are caring about customer, this is one thing that you would want to track and think about how to improve. The second one, cycle time. Cycle time is abhi humko aaj mila hai. Okay. From this time, how much time we are taking? So how long does it take once we start working? It's the time between starting a piece of work and finishing it. This shows how quickly work moves through our system once it is in progress. Okay, once it is in progress. Yes, yes, that's right. If cycle time is high, it usually means something is maybe slowing us down, maybe reviews, maybe handoffs, maybe waiting for answer, waiting for some approvals, or maybe too many things work in progress. When we lower work in progress, we create more focus, fewer handoffs, and cycle time automatically improves. Okay, so that's about the cycle time. What is throughput? This is again very simple, I think. Yes, throughput is how many times or how many items, if we talk about items, how many items do we deliver per whatever our cadence, maybe like no, per week or per month. So throughput tells us how many work items we finish in a given period, like maybe 7 items per week or 30 items per month or maybe less or more. So this basically helps with planning, forecasting, and capacity understanding. So if you are a project manager, maybe like, no, this is something that you would be uh, caring about. The goal is not to maximize throughput artificially. Throughput increases naturally when like no work in progress is under control and flow becomes smoother. So that's your throughput. And then we are going for WIP, which is work in progress. How much are we doing at the same time? Okay. So WIP is the number of items the team is currently working on. We have just seen it, right? So high WIP usually means more context switching, more handoffs, more delays, more waiting, longer cycle time. Low WIP means more focus, better flow, faster finishing, more predictability. So WIP is like no kind of lever we use to manage the flow. If WIP is too high, everything slows down. So these are some of the matrices that you should be using if you are just starting with Kanban, or even if you have been using Kanban. These are very useful matrices that you should be tracking if you are not doing it already. These matrices, they don't measure people, they measure the system. When we understand the system, we can improve the flow, and when a flow improves, everything improves. Speed, quality, predictability, and obviously team happiness as well. And when team is happy, everything is good. So that is about the matrices and why we are doing these, why they matter. So just to recap, because they do so many things. As I said, Kanban is about improving the flow of work, and we can improve only if we understand it. And that's why these matrices that we saw earlier, they matter. They give us maybe what I would say unbiased view of how work actually moves through our no system, not how we think it moves, not we hope no it should move like this. No, how it moves. So what it does, it reveals bottlenecks. Matrices help us to see where work is getting stuck. Maybe testing is overloaded, or maybe reviews are taking too long, or maybe outside dependencies, they are the ones who are slowing us down. Okay, which might be the case. Without matrices, these bottlenecks stay hidden. We cannot know them. So they reveal bottlenecks. Then improve predictability. Like one of the biggest complaints from customers and management is When will this be done? कभी होगा बताओ. With matrices like throughput and cycle time, we can answer that. We will have that confidence to like no, just give them some estimate that okay, by this time we should be able to done. Predictability builds trust, obviously, right? So that is your predictability. Third one is enable data driven decisions. Instead of guessing or relying on like gut feeling or somebody expert opinion or like no something like that, matrices help us decide with information, with the data. Should we lower our WIP limit? Should we maybe rebalance our capacity? Where should we focus improvement next? So with matrices, you can actually have these conversation, and like no, you will have facts, you will have data to like no drive those conversations and take appropriate decisions. So that is like no how they enable us to take data driven decisions. And then obviously they reduce variation and the risk. When cycle time is unpredictable, everything feels chaotic. Matrices help us reduce variability, which reduces risk. Work becomes smoother, calmer, and more reliable. Then it also show us impact of WIP limits. One of the fastest ways, if you would want to see the improvement, is lowering WIP. Matrices show you before and after. Your maybe like no cycle time drops, your lead time drops, throughput becomes stable, and team sees the actual proof. You get to see the improvement that you have made. And the last but not the least, we trust with the stakeholders. When you communicate with the real data, not opinions, not estimates or somebody's gut feeling, stakeholders, they gain confidence in the team's ability to deliver. Matrices change the conversation. Why haven't you finished it? To how can we improve the system? Once again, the same thing. Matrices don't measure people, they measure flow. By improving flow, we improve everything else. Could be delivery speed, could be quality, could be predictability, and of course, team morale. So that is why these matrices. Okay, just a quick one here. How to read cumulative flow diagram or CFDs as they call it. So CFD, cumulative flow diagram, is like no again one of the most powerful tools in the Kanban because it gives us complete picture of how work is flowing through our system over time. Instead of looking at individual tasks, a CFD shows the health of the entire system in one visual. Okay. Now, if you look at this, this is not the real one. This is just like no picture to make you understand. So WIP, if you see the vertical height between the bands, that is your work in progress. The vertical distance shows how much work is in progress at any point in time. If the height grows over time, it means WIP is increasing, which is usually sign of overloading the system or maybe ignoring WIP limits. Hogi limit, we would want to do this. Should not be done. Okay. And you can see that using this diagram. Then the second one is maybe bottlenecks. Okay. So widening areas between two bands, if you see, when one band suddenly widens, it means work is piling up in that particular stage. This is the system that is like no telling us something here is slowing down. Please pay attention. It might be too many handoffs. It might not be like no, we don't have enough capacity or unclear requirements or even a long review time. So that is something like no, it will show you the bottlenecks. Then coming to throughput. Here, the slope of done line, the upward slope of done line shows how quickly we are finishing the work. A steeper slope means higher throughput. A flat or shallow slope means delivery is slowing down. Okay. Lead time is horizontal distance between the start and finish bands. This shows how long it is going to take for a piece of work to travel from start to finish. If this horizontal distance becomes longer, it means lead time is increasing. So customers are waiting longer. So we need to pay attention. What makes this diagram so powerful? Because this makes us see everything. Whatever matrices we saw earlier, you can just see using one simple diagram. They help us see, are we stable? Are we improving? Maybe is flow breaking down somewhere? Are we taking too much work? Are we delivering consistently? All of these questions by simple single diagram. Okay, so CFDs, they make patterns obviously before problems become serious. So somebody was asking a question, burn up or burn down. This is the one. If you are using Kanban, you would be looking at this chart, not burn up or burn down. Okay, because it is in Scrum when you have a period, you have a sprint, and you would see how much work has been burnt based on your burn up or burn down. You would look at that. But for Kanban, we do not have that particular period. We are going to look at this chart, this diagram. Okay. So a CFD is like a health report for your workflow. If you look at it regularly, you will catch issues early on and you will improve flow predictability. All right. Okay. Please pay attention. There will be another quiz for you after this. Now, because we are talking about managed flow and there are various things that comes in between. And of course, in the next one as well, when we talk about policies and classes of service and service levels are one of them. So they are a way of measuring effectiveness. Okay. So typically maybe teams, they may choose to deal differently with some work items than others due to maybe nature of their demand. We call this thing using different class of service or COS, whatever you call them. Think maybe Indigo, somebody gave example, right? So think about first class, think about business class, premium economy. Okay. Each passenger is treated differently based on their class of service, unless, of course, the flight is cancelled. All right. So let's see. So there are some sample classes of service that I'm mentioning here, and generally, most of the teams would use these. One of the method to categorize and then prioritize work is according to these maybe cost of delay, which is measure of economic impact of delaying something or how much value we will be losing over time. Okay, so some of the samples are standard, which would include standard work item for the team to be done as soon as possible. It would obey no work in progress limits. Okay, just the regular one. Expedite. So these are kind of tickets or tasks that are most important urgent things. Something has broken, something is not working, some payment issue, your payment is not going through, or maybe server disk is full, so nothing is happening. This needs to be done right now. Whatever you are working on, just keep those things aside, and this will come even if your WIP limit is already full. This type of item has that authority, I would say, कि मैं आया हूँ सबसे पहले मुझे खत्म करो. So this would be able to break the WIP limit by one. Okay, yes, as soon as possible, because something is burning, right? Some कुछ तो फट गया है कहीं पे. Okay, so that is this type of. Then third one is fixed date. Okay, now these are generally your you have some deadline. Okay, you have some regulator. Okay, and you need to do it before some date, so that's your deadline. Okay, again, you will need to plan this, so obviously it will obey the WIP limits. So that is your one of it. And the last one, again, samples, you could have more, but generally most of the teams that I have worked with, they have these many classes of service. And I think most of the work items will fit in either of these. The last one is intangible, where no valuable work is there, but exact detail of value is bit difficult to define. Data is not very much certain, no quality, quantity kind of thing. This will again obey the WIP limit. So four things: standard, expedite, and fixed date, and intangible. Okay. So Kanban seeks to maximize value delivered over time. So like no need to make sure that what we are picking. So look at the work item, what it deals with, and think about everything. Okay. So in practice, it is important to ensure that these different classes of service are easy to distinguish. Maybe like no, you can just um, whenever you are setting the ground rules for teams, you can decide as in how you would want to plan these. Okay, except the expedite one, the most important urgent one, right? How you would want to plan these. Again, based on teams to team. So I am going to give you couple of questions here, and you are going to give me answers in the chat. Which class of service might be applying to these work items? The first one is, say, for example, build a new page in the customer self-service portal. Okay, Aditya says time-based. Why? Why do you think it is time-based? I have not given any deadline. Fixed date, standard, intangible. Okay, Varun. Yes, Varun, that's correct. So this should be a regular, like, no, standard thing, I think. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Sachin. Let's go to the second one. Correct an error in live email campaign that is misleading customers. Okay. There is a conference upcoming and there was email sent and maybe something like no misleading text or something happened. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. You need to fix this as soon as possible. The first thing, okay, drop everything that is in your hand because this is live in production kind of thing. Next one, fix a payment failure issue preventing transactions from going through. Okay, okay, got it. All right, all right. This is important exercise if you would want to like start working on your team's Kanban because this will also one of the things that you would want to do as an exercise. Yes, this is ASAP, correct. Let's go to the next one. Archive old project documents and reorganize shared drives. Last option. Uh, Standard, intangible, fixed date, and expedite. These were the four options. The cards, standard cards, maybe like, no, I'll give them yellow color, green color, fixed date, red color, expedite, like dark red. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Standard. Let's move on to the next one. Finalize content for an event planned for next week. Next week is event planned, and you would want to finalize the content. Yes, it is time based, obviously, right? Thank you. Let's move on. Design a new marketing brochure. So you would want to design a brochure. There is nothing, no deadline given. So it should be your standard thing. Perfect. Prepare a monthly financial report for submission to regulator. Okay, perfect. This is time based. Refactor a module with high technical depth. Standard. Okay. Why, Sandhya? Why do you think this should be expedited? Okay, expedite would be like no something broken in production, payment system down on maybe wrong price shown at the website, major email campaign. We took that example here, sent with the error. Okay, so whatever you are doing, you will drop that and you would fix it. But if you are going for refactoring a module, it might have technical depth, high technical depth, but you don't need to like no drop everything to fix that. Of course, you can plan for that maybe next week, next time, whenever you are getting you're picking new task, but you don't need to break your WIP for that. Okay, so it's not the yes. Okay. All right, and the last one. like applying Kanban matrices, I'm going to give you a real world example just to make sure that everybody understood whatever we have discussed so far. Okay. So here is a scenario: customer request a download invoice feature. Okay, this is a request from the customer, and then lead time is like no how long customer did wait. It was like 20 days. Okay, and then request was raised on 1st March. It was delivered on 20th March. So how long customer wait? Like 20 days. Okay, and then cycle time was 10 days here because work started at 8th March and work finished at 18th March. So how long the team spent actively working? 10 days. Okay, that's cycle time. WIP was 7 items in progress. Too much WIP increased wait times, delayed reviews, and slowed the flow. Throughput was 4 5 items per week. Okay, it helps predict how long upcoming work will take. Okay, and flow efficiency 25%. Then 5 days active work and 15 days waiting. Most delay came from the queues and handoffs, not the work itself. Okay, the important thing. Block time 5 days. 2 days were waiting for clarification, 3 days waiting for the test environment. So blockers directly extended the lead time. Hence, we did only 5 days of real work, but a customer did wait for 20 days. Improvement comes from reducing waiting, not making people work faster. That's the example. I hope all the matrices are now clear. So, moving on. Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. This was really very, very important. That's the reason we spent so much time onto that. So, just to summary, lead time, how long customer did wait, cycle time, how long do we take to finish work once we start. WIP is your work in progress. How much are we doing at once? Throughput is how much do we deliver, maybe like no for given time. Flow efficiency is work time versus waiting time. Okay, correct. And then block time is basically how long do items remain stuck? Maybe like no, there is a bottleneck or something like that. Then we also saw that SLE, service level expectations. So SLEs help us set expectation with the stakeholders. Given our past cycle times, we expect most work to be finished within maybe 10 days, whatever XYZ days. This replaces the case work with the data. Okay. And okay, so that is it. And so those are our matrices, and I would just mention that these matrices, once again, the same thing, they don't measure people, okay? They don't compete with each other. They complement each other. You can use them like no along with each other. Together, they give us a complete view of flow, predictability, bottlenecks, and delivery performance. All right, so that is about the matrices. That was again most important thing here in Kanban. And now one more practice. Make policies explicit. What this picture is that you can see. Can you please type in chat? What do you see? What is this picture of? Come on, this is quite old picture. I think most of you might have already seen it. There was a funny story. I was trying to generate a picture with banana with this like no kind of this theme, but banana nano banana was not able to like no draw that picture for me. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct. So it is old lady and young girl both, right? So you can see old lady, like no, we can see her like this side, and a young woman who is like no look facing the other side. Okay, so that's nothing, but here there is ambiguity, and this point, the practice that we are talking about here is removing ambiguity, making sure that your policies are explicitly mentioned. Okay, so many of our assumptions about our work are implicit and we do not equally share them. Okay, what I assume might be different from what you know, what you assume. For each state, what criteria must be met before an item moves to the next state? My understanding might be different, your understanding might be different. So we need to make sure, like, all of these things are documented, they are like, mentioned properly on the board and everywhere, like, whatever place you choose, accessible to everybody. So The next one, collectively policies from maybe our definition of done. Okay, definition of done for the board, everything could be your like no WIP limits, that we will have three limits for in progress items. You need to document these. You need to make sure that these are shared with your stakeholders. They know this. They know when you consider an item is ready. Okay, if you are waiting for something for you, you haven't even started because you are waiting for something, but maybe for your stakeholders, for the customers, they have already raised the request. Now it's okay if something was missing, they will provide it later. So you need to make sure that they also know that okay, this item is not ready, we haven't started working on it. Okay, so those are nothing but you are just making sure that your policies are explicit. And some of the examples I have just given here, again, it would differ from like no each team to team, but maybe like no to make you understand to do. Maybe item is defined as an independent deployable story. That could be one of the rules that you have set. Okay, story have been has been walked through with entire team. Okay, that could be again one of the rules set up to like move that story from to do. That could be like exit criteria to move from to do to InDesign or so. Then image assets, they might have like no if you are getting them from the third party vendor or so, you have already received them, then only that particular task, that particular story will exit from that particular status. And you have made sure that this is explicitly mentioned somewhere so everybody is on the same page. Similarly, for design, design is agreed, acceptance tests are agreed, any integrations, they are also agreed. Then only it will move on to the next one in build. Code complete, conditions, acceptance, conditions of acceptance made, and everything. Okay, whatever you have set up, everything is documented, shared, everybody is on the same page. That is most important thing. Okay, so this is just a example of a team. Maybe like they were running a team web based product for them. They had something like this fictional team. And the last one is feedback loops. Again, very easy. I think we are already, most of us are already doing these things like, no. So, unlike Kanban, unlike Scrum, Kanban doesn't have like, no, it doesn't come up with like, no, guidelines as in like, no, these are the mandated things that you need to do. Okay, these are the ceremonies that you will have to perform. No, Kanban also recommends some of the like no feedback loops, some of the meetings it does recommend, but again up to you, up to your team. Okay, so just mentioning some of them here. Daily Kanban, I guess everybody's familiar. Like the stand-up thing where you meet and you coordinate daily work and unblock items. That's your daily Kanban. Okay, replenishment meeting and then service delivery. In fact, let me go to the next. I guess yes, I have listed all of them. So these are like again, not mandatory, as I said, but Kanban has listed these many meetings you might not even heard of. Okay, so let me go to all of them. Okay, so replenishment meeting could be done weekly. Consider them as like moving items into the system and oversee options for future selection. Could be considered similar to planning meeting if you know the Scrum. Kanban meeting is your daily, right? The Scrum meeting that you do, right? The 15 minutes thing. This is kind of that. So daily coordination, self-organization, and planning the review. So that's your Kanban meeting. Then delivery planning meeting is it is per delivery cadence. So maybe like no, if you are delivering maybe once a month or even once a quarter, then it would be held on that particular cadence. Monitor and plan deliveries to the customer. Then service delivery review would be like no fortnightly examine and improve the effectiveness of the service. Then we have a strategy review quarterly. If you have heard about like no QBRs, you might have done that them. So selection of the service to be provided and fit for purpose definition. Okay, so on those similar lines, operations review would be monthly. Okay, understand the balance between and across the services, deploying resources to maximize the delivery of value aligned with customers expectation. And the risk review, this should be monthly. Understand the risk to effective delivery like no through the blocker clustering and everything. So these are some of the feedback loops that Kanban had just given as a guideline. Nothing is mandatory, so like it's up to you. That is the reason I think like many times when I coach teams, they said नहीं नहीं we will do Kanban because scrum में तो बहुत meetings होती है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. आप कुछ भी करो, you will have to meet because that's how you will like collaborate. So these are some of the feedback loops, and uh, just uh, just to summarize, processes where a system's output cycles back to become its inputs. Okay, and just make sure you're using feedback loops to learn and improve. Okay, remember the book, right? 1% better each day, you will be like no altogether new person in any year. So that is it. And the last one is improve and evolve. Okay, now here I think Preeti had mentioned that Kaizen. So Kaizen, Japanese, we have written that. So Kai is change and Zen is good. Okay, so good change is using Kanban effectively. That you should be continuously improving. So as I said, the okay. So as I said earlier, you can start today wherever you are, but you need to continuously improve, right? So this is a key part. You teams have shared understanding of about a workflow, process, risk. They are more likely to be able to like build a shared comprehension of problem, and they would be able to suggest various improvement actions, which can be agreed by maybe consensus or so. Don't make any sweeping changes. Go like no small by small changes, which was actually called Kaizen in Toyota model that we started the history with. It has been adopted as this description of small incremental improvements. That's the Kaizen in 3 steps: small frequent changes, inspect flow, and third one is adapt policies. Okay, so Kanban evolves. It is not a fixed state. Improvement is built into the system. Okay. All right, so I am kind enough to give you a litmus test. You have now adopted Kanban. How do you know that it is working? So just ask these questions. Okay. How has management behavior changed to enable Kanban? How has the customer interaction changed in line with the Kanban? Are you experimenting with WIP? How has your service delivery business model changed to exploit Kanban? How have you increased the visibility of your work? Are you managing flow? How are you measuring your matrices? Okay, so all of these questions you can ask them like no in your team meetings or so, and you will understand if your Kanban is actually working or not. Kanban is working, okay, in a nutshell, when behavior changes, not when you have a pretty board. Okay, so that's the crux of it. Now there are some best practices, tips, and techniques. I am not going to read out because I have shared this in the handouts that I am sharing in the end with you. Okay, so I am going to share that link with you. I am going to like no, you can just go there and you can download all of these materials, whatever I talked about, free of course. So visualize everything. So these are best practices, and obviously start simple. You will get not only these, but there are plenty of best practices listed out there. Okay, this is for your review. And again, anti patterns and how to fix them. I have just mentioned couple of them in the slides, but in the handouts you will find plenty of them. Okay, so maybe like no, if you are having too much WIP, okay, you would want to make sure that you have added WIP limits and you are actually following them. Okay, so that's your WIP, right? And then if team is not following pull model, so like no, there is no pull discipline, you need to make sure that like no, you are having that dialogue. And Kanban is maybe like no used like a glorified task board, then make sure that uh, overloaded, in progress, all those items, like no, you are having those conversations about that. Remember, Kanban does not fail, it gets misused. So these are some of the red flags that you need to watchful for. Again, list of anti patterns I have shared in the handout. Okay, just realize, yes, thank you. Thank you. All right. And then we have these are the key takeaways for you. So visualize the work to make better decisions. Limit work in progress to improve flow. Okay. Focus on finishing, not starting. WIP limits would be faster delivery plus higher quality. And then manage flow, not people. Make policies explicit if you remember, right? Observe everything. Okay, and then improve continuously. You can start small, as I have been talking about. You can start now. You can start small, evolve gradually. Okay, continuously keep improving. Collaboration is your key. It's your engine of flow. Like no, collaborate and you can talk about it. All right. So my question to you, what you will do tomorrow? Here is a roadmap for you. Okay, if you are not already using Kanban, this is how you can start. You can start small, you can visualize, you can start using limits, you can measure, and then you can improve. This is how the cycle will work. Okay, so this is your adoption roadmap. I am going to share this free handouts for download. This link in the chat window, just a second. And I'm also going to provide you some references if you would want to use digital Kanban board, maybe template or so. Then you can go to Jira. There are many other tools as well. Okay, Jira is the simplest one. You can just get started as soon as possible with it. And then, okay. For some of you who have asked me some references, okay, the because I'm coach, obviously I read a lot, and there are a lot of references if you would want to read some books. So you can grab a screenshot or you can watch the recording. These are some books names that would be useful for you if you are kids at heart. So maybe these are again another agile books that you can read, but they are really good. Okay, and for the book club, the first one, the principles that I was talking about, which are not very much familiar, people are not very familiar with them, that comes from the first book, Turn the Ship Around. Okay, so this is again the captain. You might have seen the video, that is the famous one. So these are again very good books. You can have a look. And how do you start? So identify your workflows. Now, the download handouts that you will see, there are various files. What you are going to do is you will identify how your work flows through the system. You are going to write it down. Okay, if you are doing it for the first time, then you set your WIP limit. Start with no initial WIP limit. Get your team members and no whatever your focus point. Okay, maybe how much percentage you would want to give, as in so that you can do 0.7 or 70%, or maybe I am somebody is assigned to 60%. You would want to keep that only. That is fine. So set WIP limit, then add explicit policies, class services, etc. Okay, again there is this template. You can just add them down. And then maybe no, I have also given this Jira link where you could just do a basic workflow, okay, by using whatever you have noted down in earlier templates, and you can just do that, okay, and use that kit. And in case of any questions, if you have, maybe no, you can reach out to me. This is my LinkedIn profile, the QR code, the first one, I guess. The second one is just a newsletter that I do, and the third one is your download free Kanban adoption handouts. Okay, so the scan me, the QR code which has written as scan me, you can scan that QR code. Yes, Shikha, just a minute. QR code is on the screen, and the link I am sharing the chat. Okay, I thought I. Yes, Prashant, I can go to that, but at any given point in time, you can go back to the recording that maybe no, as Shika mentioned, would be there on the YouTube channel. Yes, I am going back to the down. So download links QR code is on the same screen that I have been sharing. The third one, which mentions the scan me. Okay, that's for the download free Kanban adoption handouts. The first one is my LinkedIn profile. If you would want to connect to me anytime, we can continue the discussion there. Okay, that is it. Shikha, I think we have gone over time, but I guess that was.
Yeah, actually it's okay because I have seen 7 to 8 questions, but I
Hmm.
think you have answered them in the journey
Yeah,
of explaining everything. So if there are no questions, I will just share my last question for you, which I have already told you. So as I told you, just to share one of my professional experience when I was a
yes.
trainee at MS Godrej and Boyas Manufacturing Company and deputed on defense projects like BrahMos missile, Prithvi engines, etc. We used
Wow.
to follow a route card or like a paper. a cardboard paper kind of, where all the stages of manufacturing stages of the component was listed, and until and unless we get the signature of completion for a particular stage, the
Mm-hmm.
component was not clear to taken for next manufacturing stage. So do you think that was Kanban in implementation that time?
Actually, yes, definitely. In fact, this is very common practice. Like, many people they do this, they might not know the word. And thank you. Great question. Yes. So when you were using this, like, in this setup, it was form of like Kanban thinking, even if you might not be using these words. Okay. uh, like Kanban at that time. Because as I mentioned in the session as well, Kanban originated in manufacturing, especially this Toyota production system. And the core idea was exactly this: work should move only when, like, no capacity is available, and signals should guide when to start or stop work. So in your case, you said like no, the card, root card, it acted like maybe physical Kanban signal. So each stage had to be completed. You said like no signed. So it had to be completed, like signed, like verified, signed off before the component could flow to the next stage. And obviously that controlled the flow of work. And because in your case that was like more related with security or so, this was really, really necessary.
Yes.
It also prevented overloading, maybe like no downstream steps, and ensured the quality right at the source. So signature was Kanban signal. Okay, this step is done. It is signed. Capacity is available for maybe next step, and you may move. Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Priyanka, for this very interesting and informative session. I'll just share one certificate of appreciation. Thank you for
Th-
the invitation. Just a minute.
Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
I can see.
Okay. So please accept a certificate of appreciation from our end as a small token of thanks for accepting our invitation to present today's PM Pit Stop session, and looking forward to invite you for presenting other interesting topics in coming months. And also the attendees who have joined today's session, feedback form link for sharing your feedback is already shared. Please note down 1.5 PDUs will get credited automatically in your account for attending today's session, and PDU code I have already shared. So the people who are in urgent need of PDU code,